The massive starship hung like a dark metal cloud against Earth's pale blue atmosphere. Commander Hyun Park stood in the underground monitoring station, his dark eyes fixed on the holographic display tracking the alien vessel's approach. Outside, the world seemed unnaturally quiet, as if holding its breath. The Zornak ship was unlike anything humanity had ever seen. Its sleek design suggested technology centuries beyond human capabilities. Metallic surfaces shifted and rippled, reflecting light in impossible patterns that made the eyes struggle to focus. Smaller scout vessels began to detach, moving with an almost liquid precision that defied traditional understanding of spacecraft movement. In the command center, communications specialists worked frantically. Radio signals crackled and popped as they attempted to establish contact. Most believed it was futile. Humanity had dreamed of first contact for generations, but nobody expected it to happen like this, with a massive alien fleet appearing without warning, blocking satellite communications and casting massive shadows over major cities. Satellite images showed the alien vessels hovering above New York, Tokyo, London, and Moscow. No weapons fired. No immediate threats emerged. Just silent, overwhelming presence. "They're scanning us," whispered Jae Kim, the lead research scientist. His fingers danced across multiple computer screens, analyzing every tiny data fragment. "Their technology is incomprehensible." Hyun nodded. He had seen classified reports, studied potential alien encounter scenarios, but nothing prepared him for this moment. The aliens seemed to be collecting information, studying humanity like researchers examining a complex but primitive organism. Suddenly, a transmission broke through. A language that wasn't a language, more like mathematical equations transformed into sound. Computer systems struggled to translate. When the first clear words emerged, they carried a tone of pure condescension. "Planetary inhabitants of Earth, your technological development is recognized as preliminary. Surrender is recommended. Resistance will result in immediate neutralization." The message repeated, each repetition feeling more like a dismissal than a threat. Military leaders argued in secure bunkers. Some wanted an immediate aggressive response. Others counseled patience. Hyun knew they had one advantage the aliens didn't understand: human unpredictability. Days passed. The alien ships remained stationary, continuous scanning beams penetrating Earth's atmosphere. Military satellites went dark. Communication networks became unreliable. Panic started to spread in major cities, but something else grew alongside. The fear, a strange, determined resilience. In research facilities around the world, scientists like Jae Kim worked tirelessly. They weren't just analyzing alien technology, they were finding its weaknesses. Every scan the aliens performed was also an opportunity for humanity to learn. Hyun watched the alien vessels' movements. They seemed confident, almost bored. Their technological superiority was so complete that they didn't consider humans a genuine threat. This would be their first mistake. Reports came in from around the globe. The aliens had begun establishing small observation points in strategic locations. Military installations were their primary interest. They seemed particularly fascinated by Earth's nuclear capabilities, treating them like a child might examine a primitive toy. "They think our nuclear weapons are jokes," Jay muttered, reviewing complex data streams. "They don't understand what we're capable of." Hyun remembered something his grandfather once told him about survival. "Never show your entire hand. Always. Keep something hidden." The aliens continued their silent observation. They recorded human movements, tracked military responses, analyzed communication patterns. What they didn't realize was that humanity was doing exactly the same thing: watching, learning, preparing. As night fell across different parts of the world, the alien ships remained illuminated, their surfaces a complex dance of light and shadow. They seemed almost beautiful, if not for the underlying threat they represented. In underground facilities, in hidden research centers, in military bunkers across continents, humans were having the same thought: we are not alone, and we will not be conquered. The first encounter was just beginning. and humanity was about to show the universe that being underestimated could be the most dangerous mistake any civilization could make. Hyun Park looked at the holographic display, a slight smile forming at the corner of his mouth. The game was about to change. The alien ships moved with calculated precision, targeting key military installations across the globe. Their energy weapons cut through conventional defenses like paper, leaving smoking craters where advanced military bases once stood. Hyun Park watched the initial assault unfold on multiple screens, his fingers tapping a steady rhythm against the command console. Jae Kim burst into the room, his face pale but determined. "They're systematically dismantling our defensive capabilities," he reported. Maps flickered with red markers showing destruction points across continents. Major military installations in North America, Europe, and Asia were being neutralized with terrifying efficiency. But something felt different. The human response wasn't what the aliens expected. Instead of panic, there was a cold, calculated preparation. Military units that seemed destroyed were actually dispersing. Communication networks that appeared disrupted were switching to backup systems developed decades earlier. The aliens were fighting an enemy that didn't play by traditional rules of engagement. In remote military bases hidden deep underground, commanders like Dae Hwang began implementing contingency plans that had been whispered about but never truly tested. Plans that went beyond conventional warfare. Strategies that would make the aliens question everything they knew about human resistance. The first alien ground units began to deploy. They looked like nightmares made real. Biomechanical creatures that moved with impossible grace. Tall, nearly 3 meters in height, with exoskeletons that seemed to shift and change with each movement. Their weapons weren't just tools of destruction. They were works of technological art that could obliterate entire city blocks with a single discharge. But humans had been preparing for this moment longer than the aliens realized. In small towns and massive cities, people didn't run. They organized. Communication networks that predated modern technology came to life. Ham radio operators, local community groups, underground resistance cells, all began to move with a synchronization that would have shocked the alien observers. Hyun watched. As the first true test began, the aliens believed they were conducting a simple planetary pacification mission. They had conquered hundreds of worlds before. Each civilization had fallen within days, sometimes hours. But humanity was different. Military units that seemed destroyed were actually repositioning. Communication networks that appeared disrupted were sending encrypted messages across global networks. What looked like defeat was actually a carefully orchestrated retreat and regroup strategy. The aliens' first mistake was underestimating human adaptability. Their second mistake was believing technology could overcome human determination. Small groups of soldiers began to emerge from hidden locations. They weren't fighting with advanced weapons. They were using something far more dangerous: intelligence, creativity, and an absolute refusal to surrender. Dae Hwang's voice crackled over secure communications. "They think they've won," he said quietly. "They have no idea what's coming." The alien ground units moved through destroyed city streets, scanning for remaining resistance. Their sensors showed minimal human activity. What they didn't realize was that every scan, every movement was being studied, analyzed, prepared for. In underground research facilities, scientists like Jae Kim were doing more than just defending. They were learning. Every alien weapon discharge, every scanning beam, every movement was being recorded and understood. The provocation was working perfectly. The aliens believed they were conducting a simple invasion. Humanity was turning it into the most important lesson in galactic history. As night fell, the burning cities told a story of destruction. But beneath the smoke and fire, something else was brewing. A response that would change everything aliens thought they knew about humanity. Hyun Park looked at the screens, a calm determination replacing any hint of fear. The real battle was just beginning. The aliens had come to conquer. They would leave understanding what it truly meant to face a species that refused to be defeated. Humanity was about to show the universe that resistance wasn't just a possibility, it was a fundamental promise. The initial provocation was complete. The real war was just starting. The underground research facility hummed with nervous energy. Jae Kim stood before a collection of modified nuclear devices that looked nothing like traditional weapons. These weren't meant for simple destruction. They were designed to transform entire landscapes into hostile environments. Hyun Park entered the secure room, his eyes scanning the complex array of scientific equipment. "Are we ready?" he asked, knowing the weight of the question. Dae Hwang, who had been monitoring global alien movements, spread out a digital map showing invasion zones. "They think they've won," he said quietly. "They have no idea what's coming." The nuclear preparation wasn't about immediate destruction. It was about creating something far more dangerous. Persistent environmental contamination that would turn entire planetary regions into unlivable zones. Years of secret research had prepared humanity for this moment. The weapons being developed weren't traditional nuclear devices. They were sophisticated ecological weapons designed to spread radiation in ways the aliens couldn't predict or defend against. Jay explained the core concept. Their shields block energy. But radiation is different. It's a living, spreading threat that can't be stopped by technological barriers. The modified nuclear devices looked almost innocent. Sleek metal casings with complex internal mechanisms that went beyond simple explosive potential. Each device was carefully crafted to maximize environmental impact while minimizing immediate destructive power. Satellite images showed alien ground units moving confidently through conquered territories. They believed their advanced technology made them invincible. They didn't understand the threat developing beneath the surface. Military communication networks began coordinating the most complex military operation in human history. Small teams were positioned around strategic locations. Their mission wasn't to fight, it was to deploy the ecological weapons precisely. "We're not just defending," Hyun told his team. "We're changing the entire concept of planetary warfare." The first test came quietly. A single modified nuclear device launched from a hidden underground facility. When it detonated, there was no massive explosion. Instead, a complex radiation pattern spread across a carefully selected region. Alien scanning systems initially showed nothing unusual, but within hours, something strange began to happen. The affected area started to change. Radiation levels rose in patterns that defied conventional understanding. It wasn't about immediate destruction. It was about creating a persistent, living threat. Day watched the alien communication networks. Confusion began to spread. Their initial confidence was cracking. "They don't understand," Jay muttered. "We're not fighting their war. We're creating a completely new type of battlefield." The nuclear preparation was more than a military strategy. It was a message to the universe. Humanity would not be conquered. Humanity would make any attempt at invasion so costly that no civilization would dare try again. Global scientific teams worked in perfect coordination. Each deployment was calculated, each radiation spread carefully planned. They were turning the entire planet into a potential weapon. Alien ground units began to report strange environmental changes. Areas they had considered secure were becoming increasingly hostile. Their advanced medical technologies struggled to counteract the unique radiation patterns. Hyun knew they were crossing a line that could never be uncrossed. But survival demanded extreme measures. The first alien communication intercepts showed growing concern. What had seemed like a simple planetary conquest was becoming something far more complex and dangerous. "We're not just defending," Hyun repeated to himself. "We're teaching them a lesson about human survival." As night fell, modified nuclear devices waited in hidden locations. Each one was a promise. Each one was a warning. Humanity would not go quietly. Humanity would make any invasion so expensive that the very concept would become impossible. The nuclear preparation was complete. The real transformation was about to begin. The aliens thought they were conquering a planet. They were about to learn that humanity's greatest weapon wasn't technology. It was the absolute refusal to surrender. The radiation spread like a living nightmare across the conquered territories. What the aliens thought was a simple invasion quickly became a battle for survival they never anticipated. Krell Vox, the alien commander, watched in growing horror as his scanning systems revealed something impossible. The radiation wasn't behaving like any known weapon. It moved, adapted, transformed entire landscapes into toxic zones that killed alien biological systems faster than their advanced medical technologies could respond. Alien ground units began to fall sick. Their advanced protective suits, designed to resist energy weapons and chemical attacks, proved useless against this new threat. Each contaminated zone became a death trap, spreading environmental poison that consumed everything in its path. Hyun Park monitored the global response from the underground command center. His team of scientists had created something beyond a traditional weapon. They had engineered a living ecological defense system. "It's not about killing," J. Kim explained to the command team. "It's about making the entire planet uninhabitable for the invaders." The first signs of alien panic began to show. Communication networks that once displayed confident invasion strategies now buzzed with confusion and fear. Entire invasion sectors were being abandoned as radiation levels made planetary occupation impossible. Dae Hwang watched the tactical displays. Alien ships that had confidently entered Earth's atmosphere were now struggling to maintain their positions. The radiation wasn't just a threat. It was a continuous, evolving weapon that adapted faster than alien technology could counter. Military units that seemed destroyed during the initial invasion now emerged from hidden locations. They weren't fighting a traditional war. They were managing an ecological transformation that would make planetary invasion impossible. The aliens had technology beyond human understanding, but humanity had something far more dangerous: the ability to turn an entire planet into a weapon. Each radiation zone became a living testament to human survival strategy. The modified nuclear devices weren't just weapons, they were ecological architects, redesigning planetary landscapes to eliminate alien presence. Alien medical teams tried to develop countermeasures, but each solution was met with a new, more complex radiation pattern. Humanity had turned scientific innovation into a defensive art form. Krell Vox reviewed the invasion reports with increasing desperation. Planets they had conquered in hours were now taking weeks, with massive biological losses. Earth was different. Earth was fighting back in a way no civilization had ever attempted. "They're not just defending," one alien communications officer reported. "They're transforming their entire planet into a weapon." The unexpected warfare went beyond military strategy. It was a complete reimagining of planetary defense. Humanity wasn't trying to defeat the aliens through traditional combat. They were making planetary invasion so costly that no civilization would dare attempt it again. Radiation zones began to interconnect, creating massive toxic regions that cut through alien-controlled territories. What looked like random contamination was actually a carefully planned ecological defense network. Scientific teams around the world worked in perfect synchronization. Each radiation spread was calculated, each environmental transformation precisely managed. They were turning the entire concept of planetary warfare on its head. Alien ships began to retreat from certain contaminated zones. Their advanced scanning system showed something terrifying. The radiation wasn't just spreading. It was learning, adapting, becoming more complex with each passing hour. Hyun Park watched the global displays, a careful calculation behind every strategic decision. They weren't just defending. They were sending a message to the universe about human survival. The unexpected warfare had transformed Earth from a potential conquest into the most dangerous planet in the known galaxy. Each radiation zone was a promise. Each contaminated territory was a warning. Humanity would not be conquered. Humanity would make any invasion so expensive that the very concept would become impossible. As alien ships began to retreat, something became clear. This wasn't just a battle. This was a fundamental lesson about the true nature of human survival. The unexpected warfare had only just begun. The final stage of planetary defense unfolded like a carefully orchestrated symphony of survival. Alien ships began to retreat, their once confident formations now scattered and desperate. Krelvox watched in total shock as planet after planet became uninhabitable. What had begun as a simple invasion had transformed into a nightmare beyond alien comprehension. Humanity had done the impossible. They had weaponized their entire planetary ecosystem. Hyun Park stood in the underground command center, watching the global defense systems work with perfect synchronization. The radiation zones were no longer just defensive mechanisms. They had become living, breathing environmental weapons that continued to spread and adapt. "We're not just defending," J. Kim muttered, analyzing the complex data streams. "We're rewriting the rules of interstellar conflict." Alien communication networks collapsed under the weight of continuous environmental transformation. Each attempt to counter the radiation met with more complex, more dangerous biological barriers. Humanity had turned science into the ultimate defensive strategy. De Huang coordinated the final stages of planetary protection. Military units that seemed destroyed during the initial invasion now emerged like a complex, interconnected network. They weren't soldiers in the traditional sense. They were ecological warriors protecting their home. The aliens had technology beyond human understanding. But humanity had something far more dangerous: the ability to turn an entire planet into a living, breathing defensive system. Krelvox reviewed the invasion reports with growing desperation. Entire alien fleet divisions were being forced to retreat. The contamination spread faster than their most advanced medical technologies could respond. Earth wasn't just defending, it was teaching a lesson about survival. Satellite images showed the transformation. What had once been conquered territories were now toxic zones that consumed alien biological systems. Each radiation zone told a story of human determination. Scientific teams around the world worked with a precision that defied traditional military strategy. They weren't just protecting their planet. They were demonstrating a new form of planetary defense that would become a warning to any potential future invaders. The alien retreat became a panicked exodus. Communication networks that once boasted about planetary conquests now buzzed with fear and confusion. Humanity had done something no civilization had ever attempted. They had made planetary invasion economically and biologically impossible. Hyun Park watched the global displays, understanding the deeper message being sent. This wasn't just about defending Earth. This was about establishing humanity's place in the universe. Alien ships began to disappear from Earth's solar system. Each departure was a testament to human survival strategy. They weren't running away from a battle. They were running from a fundamental reimagining of interstellar conflict. J. Kim's scientific teams continued to monitor the ecological transformation. The radiation zones weren't static. They were learning, adapting, becoming more complex with each passing moment. What started as a defensive strategy had become a living weapon system. The final stages of planetary defense revealed something profound. Humanity's greatest strength wasn't advanced technology. It was the ability to adapt, to transform, to survive against impossible odds. De Huang received the final reports from global monitoring stations. The alien invasion was over, but the message was just beginning. Krelvox transmitted a final communication to his fleet. It wasn't a message of defeat. It was a warning about the most dangerous species they had ever encountered. "Humanity is not just a civilization," the message read. "Humanity is a planetary defense system." As the last alien ships disappeared from Earth's solar system, a strange calm settled over the planet. The radiation zones continued to pulse, a living reminder of humanity's incredible survival strategy. Hyun Park allowed himself a small smile. They had done more than defend their planet. They had changed the very concept of interstellar conflict. The planetary defense was complete. The universe had been put on notice. Humanity would not be conquered. Humanity would make any invasion so costly that the very concept would become impossible. The final chapter of the invasion was written, not with weapons, but with an entire planet's determination to survive.